The video opens on a stark, black and white, hyper-detailed shot. We see the silhouette of a lone warrior, cloaked and weary, standing on a crag overlooking a vast, dark city. The wind whips his cloak. The style is pure Miura, intricate cross-hatching, deep blacks, a sense of immense weight in history. The music is a low, melancholic cello dirge. Voiceover, a deep, gravelly, and calm voice. The tone of a philosopher who has seen too much war. There is a monster that lives inside all great ambition. It is a quiet, reasonable creature. It does not roar, it whispers. It whispers when you are faced with a difficult choice, when the clean path is long and the dirty path is short. It offers you a simple, terrible absolution. The end will justify the means. We will call this whisper the tyranny of the dream. It is the belief that a goal can be so noble, so bright, that it burns away the darkness of any action taken in its name. It is the logic that builds utopias on foundations of bone. Today, we will drag this monster into the light. We will dissect it, understand it, and by the end of this journey, you will possess the philosophical armor to face it within yourself. You will understand the cold, seductive calculus of Griffith, the White Hawk. And you will be able to answer the question, is he right? ### Phase 2. The problem. The screen shows a series of close-ups. A hand hesitating over a signature on a contract. Eyes filled with doubt reflected in a computer screen late at night. A person turning their back on a friend in need. The art is intimate and filled with psychological tension. You know this feeling. You have a dream, a worthy one. Perhaps you want to build a business to provide for your family, create a piece of art that will move the world, or rise to a position where you can enact real change. This dream is your sun, the star you navigate by. But the journey is never pure. You find yourself at a crossroads. To get the funding, perhaps you must flatter a man you despise, endorsing his hypocrisy. To secure the promotion, perhaps you must remain silent when a colleague is unjustly blamed. To finish your project, perhaps you must cut corners, betraying the quality you swore to uphold. You feel the dissonance. A cold knot in your gut. This isn't who you are, you tell yourself. But the dream is so important. And the whisper begins its work. It's just this once, it says. It's a strategic sacrifice. The greater good demands it. Think of the young entrepreneur, so desperate to keep his company afloat and his employees paid. He discovers he can use a cheaper, ethically questionable supplier. It will save the company. It will save 20 jobs. But he knows that supplier exploits its workers, that the low cost is paid for with human misery continents away. He lies awake at night, the faces of his employees on one side of the scale, the faceless sufferers on the other. He tells himself it's a simple choice. Save the people you know. He makes the deal. The company survives. He has won. But here is the hidden cost of the tyranny of the dream, the one the whisper never mentions. Every time you heed its call, you pay a tax on your own soul. Each compromise is a chisel, chipping away at the statue of who you believe you are. The first chip is agony. The 10th is a dull ache. The 100th is nothing. You feel nothing at all. One day, you arrive. You stand at the pinnacle, your dream finally realized. But the person who began the journey is gone. The person who had lines they would not cross, a code they would not break, they died somewhere on the road behind you. You look in the mirror, and a stranger looks back. A stranger holding a crown, standing in a kingdom of ash. ### Phase 3. The solution, the screen fades to black. Then, a single, impossibly detailed image fades in. Griffith, in his full armor as the Hawk of Light. He looks serene, perfect, divine. But the image is cross-hatched with deep, unsettling shadows, hinting at the darkness within. This internal battlefield, this war between the dreamer and the dream, has its ultimate incarnation. A man who followed the whisper until it became a roar that deafened him to all else. A man named Griffith. To understand Griffith is to understand the most compelling and dangerous ethical system ever devised by man: utilitarianism. At its core, utilitarianism is brutally simple. It argues that the morality of an action is determined only by its consequences. The goal is to produce the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people. It is a philosophy of the bottom line. Intentions are irrelevant. Personal feelings are statistical noise. The only thing that matters is the final sum in the cosmic ledger of happiness and suffering. To truly grasp the weapon Griffith wielded, we must break it down into its three core principles. First, the principle of consequence. Visual. A split screen. On one side, a doctor performs a painful, life-saving surgery on a crying child. On the other, a person gives a poisoned cake to a homeless man, believing it is a kind gift. The first action causes immediate suffering but has a good outcome. The second has good intentions but a terrible outcome. This is the foundation. Your motives, however noble or cruel, mean nothing. All that matters is the result. If you perform a monstrous act that, through some bizarre twist of fate, results in a net increase of happiness in the world, a strict utilitarian would be forced to call that act good. Conversely, if you act with the purest love in your heart, but your action leads to disaster, your act was bad. The road to hell may be paved with good intentions, but for the utilitarian, the road to heaven can be paved with bodies, so long as the destination is paradise for the survivors. Second, the principle of aggregation. This is where the calculus becomes truly cold. Utilitarianism demands that we treat happiness and suffering as quantifiable, like currency. It can be added, subtracted, and weighed. This means that the profound agony of one person can be mathematically cancelled out and surpassed by the minor pleasure of many. Your deepest trauma, your most cherished love, your very life, it is just one entry in the ledger. The needs of the many not only outweigh the needs of the few, they can completely erase them. The individual has no intrinsic, sacred value. You are a number. Nothing more. Third, the principle of impersonality. This principle demands that in this calculation, you give no special weight to your own happiness, or the happiness of those you love. Your mother's life is worth no more than the life of a stranger on the other side of the world. Your child's joy is equal to the joy of an unknown child in a distant land. You must be a detached, impartial spectator of the universe, even when it concerns your own heart. Your bonds, your loyalties, your love, these are biases. They are irrational variables that corrupt the purity of the equation. Think of it this way: utilitarianism is the philosophy of a cosmic surgeon. The world is a patient, riddled with the cancer of suffering. The surgeon must be cold, precise, and unsentimental. Sometimes, to save the body, a limb must be amputated. The surgeon does not ask the limb for its consent. He does not grieve for the limb. He sees only the survival of the whole organism. Griffith saw himself as this surgeon. And the band of the hawk, they were the limb he was willing to sacrifice to save the world and achieve his dream. Phase 4. The application, the screen shows a close-up of our cloaked warrior philosopher from the opening shot. He is now sitting by a fire, sharpening a massive sword. The mood is contemplative, practical. Griffith's path is a cautionary tale, a monument to the tyranny of the dream. But the tool he used, this cold, utilitarian calculus, is like this blade. In the hands of a fanatic, it is a weapon of atrocity. But if understood, if tempered with wisdom, it can become a tool for moral clarity. To master your dream instead of being consumed by it, you must learn to dissect it with the precision of a philosopher. You must perform an autopsy on your own ambition. Here are 4 steps. 4 techniques to use when you hear the whisper. Step 1. Define your greatest good. Visual. A hand, holding a piece of charcoal, writing on a rough stone tablet. The words are clear and precise. The whisper thrives on vague, noble-sounding goals. Success, happiness, making a difference. These words are clouds. They can mean anything, and so they can justify anything. You must chain them to the earth. Ask yourself, what is my kingdom? What is the exact, tangible outcome I am striving for? Is it earning a specific amount of money so my family never has to worry? Is it completing a novel by a specific date? Is it mastering a specific skill? Take a piece of paper, or open a document. Write your dream down as a single, clear, measurable sentence. My goal is to build a company that employs 50 people and is profitable within 5 years. My goal is to run a marathon in under 4 hours. My goal is to be a present and loving parent to my children every single day. This is your destination. If you don't know exactly where you are going, Any road will seem like the right one, especially the easy, dirty ones. Step 2. Conduct the stakeholder audit. Utilitarianism's one true virtue is that it forces you to look beyond yourself. You must now use this. Before you make a significant, morally ambiguous choice, stop. List every single person or group that will be affected by your action. Everyone. From your spouse to the anonymous person who will use your product. Beside each name, create 2 columns, cost and benefit. What will they lose? What will they gain? Be honest and brutal. Don't just consider money or status. Consider trust, time, mental peace, integrity. This simple act forces you to confront the full consequences of your choice. It makes the faceless sufferers in our entrepreneur's dilemma real. It makes the red ink in the ledger visible. Step 3. Apply the veil of ignorance. Visual. A figure stands before a series of shrouded mirrors. They reach out to one, and as their hand touches it, the shroud falls away to reveal one of the stakeholders from the previous diagram. This is a powerful thought experiment, borrowed from the philosopher John Rawls. It acts as a vital counterbalance to utilitarianism's potential for cruelty. Before you finalize your decision, imagine you are about to be born into the world you are creating with your action. But you do not know who you will be. You are behind a veil of ignorance. You could be the person who benefits the most from your choice. You could be the person who is most harmed. You could be the CEO who gets the bonus, or you could be the worker who gets laid off. Now, from that position of terrifying uncertainty, ask yourself again, is this action just? Would I consent to this world, knowing I had an equal chance of being the victor or the victim? This question reintroduces the one thing pure utilitarianism discards: justice. It forces you to consider the person at the bottom, because that person could be you. Step 4. Carve your non-negotiables. Visual. A pair of stone tablets, like the 10 Commandments, but blank. A hammer and chisel lie beside them. The warrior's hands begin to carve a single, sharp line into the stone. A pure utilitarian has no sacred rules. If torturing a child would somehow lead to world peace, the logic says, begin the torture. This is the abyss. You must wall yourself off from it. You must decide, in the cold light of day, what your absolute moral lines are. These are the things you will not do, regardless of the promised outcome. They are not up for debate. They are not subject to a cost-benefit analysis. Will you ever physically harm an innocent? Will you ever betray a person who has placed their absolute trust in you? Will you ever lie under oath? Define 2 or 3 of these fundamental principles. Write them down. Memorize them. They are the bedrock of your character. They are the anchors that will hold you fast when the hurricane of ambition threatens to sweep you away into the sea of rationalization. Griffith had no anchor. His dream was his only god, and it demanded a blood sacrifice. You must have a god beyond your dream. ## Phase 5. The proof. The screen shows the horrifying, iconic image of the eclipse. Swirling vortexes of souls, the tortured faces of the band of the hawk, and at the center, the egg of the king, pulsating. It is a masterpiece of dark beauty and despair. If you seek proof that this framework is necessary, look no further than the outcome of Griffith's perfect utilitarian calculation. During the eclipse, he was presented with the ultimate choice. The God Hand offered him a deal. Sacrifice his comrades, the only people he ever seemed to love, the men and women who had bled and died for his dream. In exchange, he would be reborn as a god, femto, with the power to create his ideal world. Let us analyze this as a utilitarian. The cost: the brutal, terrifying deaths and damnation of a few hundred soldiers. A terrible, but finite, amount of suffering. The benefit: the creation of Falconia, a utopian kingdom, a sanctuary for millions of humans in a world ravaged by monsters and war. A city with no poverty, no crime, a paradise on earth. A massive, potentially infinite, amount of happiness and security. By the numbers, the choice is clear. The suffering of the few is outweighed by the happiness of the many. And Griffith chose. He made the sacrifice. The screen transitions from the hell of the eclipse to the serene, sun-drenched spires of Falconia. People walk the streets, happy and safe. Children play. It is a paradise. And the terrifying thing is, it worked. From a cold, logical, utilitarian perspective, Griffith's choice was the correct one. He created the greatest good for the greatest number. He is the savior of humanity. The ledger is balanced. The profit is immense. But you feel it, don't you? The wrongness. The cold sickness in your soul when you look at those perfect towers. Why? A new image appears, crashing through the peaceful scene of Falconia. Guts, the Black Swordsman, in his full berserker armor. He is rage and agony personified. A force of nature. A living testament to a cost that cannot be quantified. The proof of utilitarianism's failure is Guts. Guts is the living, breathing refutation of the entire philosophy. He is the remainder in the equation that cannot be ignored. His suffering, his rage, his unending struggle, it is not negated by the peace of Falconia. The joy of a million strangers does not heal the wounds of his betrayal. He proves that some things are beyond calculation. Trust. Love. Loyalty. The bonds forged in shared struggle. Utilitarianism calls these things biases. Berserk calls them the only things that truly matter. Guts' existence screams a fundamental truth that the utilitarian cannot hear. You cannot build a heaven for some on the hell of others. The foundation is poisoned. The walls are hollow. The rot will always spread from below. The fatal flaw of this philosophy, the one that makes it a tool for tyrants, is that it requires a God's eye view of the future. Griffith needed the God hand to guarantee his outcome. But we, mere mortals, we act in a fog of uncertainty. We can never truly know the full consequences of our actions. Therefore, to sacrifice a known, present good, a friend, your integrity, for an unknown, unknowable future, greater good, is not logic. It is fanaticism. It is the height of arrogance. It is the tyranny of the dream. The only thing you can truly control is not the outcome, but the act itself. And that is where your morality must reside. History shows us this truth, written in blood. Every totalitarian regime of the 20th century began with a promise of utopia, a greater good. They performed the utilitarian calculus and decided that entire classes of people, entire races, entire generations were acceptable sacrifices for the glorious future they were building. The result was not paradise. It was gulags, gas chambers, and killing fields. It was Falconia, built on a mountain of skulls. Phase 6. The call to action. The final shot returns to our warrior philosopher, standing on the crag, looking down at the city of Falconia. The sun is rising, but it casts long, dark shadows. The world of Berserk, like our own, is not a simple ledger of pain and pleasure. It is a chaotic tapestry of struggle, duty, and the defiant will of the individual soul. Griffith built his perfect world. A world free from suffering for most. But it is a world without choice, without struggle. A gilded cage. He offers peace at the price of your humanity. This leads to a question, and I want you to wrestle with it. Leave your answer in the comments below. If you were given the choice to be born and live a peaceful, happy, and prosperous life within the walls of Falconia, knowing that its foundation is the eternal torment of the Band of the Hawk, would you take it? There is no easy answer. And in your struggle to find one, you will find a piece of your own philosophy. The warrior turns his back on the city and begins to walk away, into the dark and untamed wilderness. The music swells slightly, a tone of grim resolve. These are the questions we face here, in the dark. If you are a fellow struggler, one who seeks to forge a code in the crucible of this chaotic world, then subscribe to the Struggler's Sanctuary. This is the forge where will is tempered. Griffith's path of cold calculation is one way. But there is another. The path of the man who hunts gods. The path of pure, indomitable will. To understand the philosophy that drives the Black Swordsman, you must watch our analysis next. The Stoicism of Guts. How to endure the unendurable. Now, go and face your own dream. But do not let it become your tyrant.